Gotten a lot bigger since you're in the last video, huh? Hello. So a while back, I did a painting tutorial for an acrylic painting of an ocean sparkly sunset. This guy right here. Ew, that's gross, but yuck. And I got a ton of requests for me to do the same thing, but with oil paints. So instead of doing the exact same thing and getting bored doing buddy, I did a slightly different version. Used some teals, and a little bit of a rainbow sky, and a lot more sparkles. If you're just getting into oil paints and you want to try and start making some pretty things, oil paints can be tricky moving from acrylics to oils because the dynamics of them are so different. It took me a long time after working with acrylics for a while to be able to be comfortable enough to work with oils in like an enjoyable way. They could be frustrating. Don't eat garbage off the ground. So if you're just getting into oil paints for the first time, be super patient with yourself, but this is beginner friendly. We're gonna go over some simple techniques. We're gonna use a fairly simple color palette to work with. I think it's only 6 colors that I mixed up. I'm gonna talk through the materials I use real quick. I used Winsor & Newton oil paints. Whoa. These are a little bit pricey, so you don't have to buy these fancy ones right away. Just get yourself a nice, fairly inexpensive. Can you not? You're nasty! Get yourself a fairly inexpensive little oil paint set with just the primary colors and you're gonna be totally fine to make this painting and all the paintings you want to paint. Once you're a little more comfortable, get a nicer set. The brushes I use, I like a whole array of brushes to work with. I don't necessarily go in being like, I'm gonna use these specific brushes. I just decide as I go along. I like to use synthetic soft bristle brushes, paper towels to wipe off my brushes in between colors, a palette knife to make it easy to mix my colors with. I have a glass palette, which I love. You can use a wood one, a plastic one, a little bit of water, and some brush soap if I want to switch colors in between. And then my painting surface that I used for this painting is a little wood panel. This is a square one, I used a rectangular one. 6 by 8 inches, it's fairly small. No. Guess who's coming to sit back with me? Gomez, help me present this piece of wood. So it's just a wood panel that I gessoed with some gesso by, it's gonna be now punctured. I added a little bit of burnt sienna to get this kind of orange color, just so I had some color to work on top of. You don't need to do that. You can just do any kind of painting surface that has been primed with some gesso, a canvas or a wood panel or some paper that's been gessoed. Just make sure you have it gessoed whatever you're painting on. I just realized I forgot something because I was wrangling my puppy. Also, Bindi wanted to say hi. She does not like him. You might notice I'm not using a couple of things that are a must-have for a lot of oil painters, which are mediums and solvents. Those are chemicals that help you clean your paintbrushes or help change the properties of your paints. They are pretty nasty when it comes to toxicity, so I'm not using them. You don't have to use them, but if you want to use them, that's totally great. Just a heads up. I also wanted to take a quick second to let you know that this video is sponsored by, wait for it, Skillshare. I know, I feel like a legitimate YouTuber now. So if you don't already know about Skillshare, it's an online learning platform for creatives like you and me, with thousands and thousands of online classes about every creative topic you could think of, including fine arts, graphic design, video production, music, everything. You wanna learn about it, it's there. I just started taking this class by Thomas Frank called Productivity for Creatives. His tips on getting into a professional mindset as a creative person are seriously going to change my life. I'm not even joking. I love this class. New classes are constantly launching. There's never any ads. And with an annual subscription of less than $10 a month, that's a lot less expensive than art school. And guess what? The first 1,000 of my subscribers who click the link in the description will get a free trial premium membership so you can explore your creativity. And it also really helps my channel, so it's a win-win. Let's officially get into the painting. Again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I want to get to as many as possible. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so I want to mix up 3 or 4 colors for our sky and then 2 colors for our ocean, but the ocean's gonna have all the reflections of the sky colors in it, so we're gonna keep some of the extra colors. Mix up a little more than maybe we need for the sky. If I can, I'm really bad about mixing up extras. I always don't mix enough and then have to mix more, so we'll see how it goes. Oh, you know what's ridiculous? I didn't even tell you what colors I'm using. Forgive me, my brain. I've been very busy. All my brain cells are doing other things. So the colors I have here are titanium white, ultramarine blue, cerulean blue, Windsor red deep, quinacridone magenta, and Indian yellow. You don't have to have those exact colors. And I have two blues happening here, and then two like red pink variations. You don't need to have two options for these. If you just have a red and then one of these blues, you're gonna be fine. I like to have extra just because, but if you just have primaries and white, you're gonna be totally good. You can make this painting happen. Don't worry about having the exact colors. Back to making my yellow. So you can see I just take tiny bits at a time. Tiny little bits so that I'm not doing too much all at once and ruining the color right from the get-go. I take it slow. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take this. We are going to set it over here. I've got a little bit lingering over here. I'm gonna add a little more white and then a little more yellow, but we're gonna start moving to like an orangey kind of color. Definitely want more red in here. Ooh, a little too pink. Red is super powerful, so it can really outnumber your yellows when you're trying to make oranges, and I always forget and add too much red. And then I'm going to move to pink that's similar to this. See how it's just shifting slowly across the rainbow in like a backwards way though. Not red, orange, yellow. It's yellow, orange, red. You'll see, you'll see. I'm gonna add a little magenta here too to get this pink color. And I'm still gonna get yellow in there along with a tiny bit of blue just to like darken it and start to get an almost purpley kind of color happening. And then I want a purpley blue kind of color. I'm not cleaning my palette when I'm shifting the next color because I want these to kind of be cohesive. I want them to have the same kind of vibe to them. My two colors that I want for my water, we're gonna use these in the water too, but we're also gonna want teal and a dark teal. There we go. That is a much closer color to what I was thinking. A little bit of the ultramarine just to darken it a little, but I didn't want to do all ultramarine because it wasn't vibing with me. Oops, added too much white. Whoa! Color mixing is a trial and error process. A little bit of red just to mute the color down. It's a little extra vibrant. I'm gonna set it aside. I'm gonna set it aside and see how I feel about it. If I want to change it, I can change it. For right now, I want to go and make our dark teal. All right. Now that we have our colors all mixed up, pre-mixed up for us, we're gonna get started on the painting, but I do wanna say real quick that don't get overly attached to your colors. If they're not turning out how you want them to, once they're actually going on whatever your painting surface is, don't freak out, just tweak them. Add a little more yellow, add a little more blue. They don't need to stay exactly as they are. I like to tweak my colors as I move along my painting anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna do this one. I've got a little flat brush here, big enough to cover my space pretty quickly. Gonna get started getting some yellow on at the top. I'm just starting by adding some yellow to the top here, kind of getting it even, not making it too thick. I paint in pretty thin layers. And then already I'm gonna start to slowly add a little bit of our orange color to our yellow so I can start to get this little gradient color going. I'm using the same dirty brush. And the nice thing about oils is that they dry very slowly, so you can take as much time as you want to blend these two colors together, brushing back and forth until it gets to a blended place you like. Ooh, I got dog hairs in my painting as per usual. And then adding a little bit of my pink to my orange and getting that on there as well. So we've got this little rainbow of colors happening. See, I'm just putting on one color just in like a straight line. Maybe I'm tapping like this, and then I'm bringing my brush and I'm blending all the way up just to get these colors kind of moving smoothly, just straight across. That's all we're doing. Layering one color straight across, another color straight across, and then blending them up. Kind of wiping off my brush a little bit, getting a little bit cleaner. And I'm taking my blue purpley color, my last color in my little sky rainbow there, and adding it to the bottom. And I also want to define, if I can really quickly, just so for my own brain I know where to stop, a little horizon line. I am not the best straight line drawer in the world, so it's gonna be probably a little wiggly. It might be a little bit wiggly on your painting too. Don't beat yourself up about it. I also struggle drawing straight lines. That looks straight enough. Ooh, oh my goodness. Okay, this is looking so pretty. Oh, that's gorgeous. So gorgeous. Try and get some of that blending in there. What I want to do real quick before I start the bottom is I want to throw in a tiny little sun right here in the center. This is going to be a very, very sparkly little painting, and to get the sparkles happening I need some kind of light source. So I'd say like right in the center of your sky, maybe like right here, some paint kind of globbed on. I'm pretty generous about my paint here, and right in the center I'm going to tap a little sun circle. Or maybe it's the moon, whatever you want it to be. You can do it bigger, you can do it smaller, you can make it really dramatic in the sky, you can have some sun rays coming off it. You can also put it in the center of your painting. Mine's a little bit skewed this way. But that's okay, nothing wrong with that. It looks pretty cute though, don't it? So I want to start getting our watercolors on here. So this is going to be a little bit different and a little trickier than just doing straight lines across and then blending them together. We're gonna do some light teal on the edges. We're gonna do some of our purple mixed with our light teal in the center. We're gonna get a little bit darker as we go down, but then have some like highlights. You'll see. It makes much more sense when it's actually happening. This is what we're gonna do. Take our light teal and just on our horizon line. Oh my gosh, the colors on this are just too pretty. Just gonna carefully, I'm using this really garbagey old brush where the thing's falling off the top. Don't let anyone tell you that you need fancy pants art supplies to make great art. It's still a paintbrush, and it's gonna do its job. I don't care how old and crusty it is, it's gonna do an amazing job. I just know it. I believe in this paintbrush. And a third of the way. Same on the other side, just making sure that horizon line is pretty clean as it can be. Clean as it can be for someone who's not great at drawing straight lines. Oof, oof, oof. Oh boy, it's very difficult. And then bring some down here. Boo, 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 boo. Blending that up. And then I'm going to shift it to be a little bit darker here at the bottom, just a little. Add some of my darker teal. Start to get going a little bit darker. Nice and dark here at the bottom. So we have like the edges kind of painted. And what we're gonna do now is add a little bit of our blue, teal, purple, whatever it is to your eyeballs. It's purple to mine, I think. And I'm gonna add add that to my teal. And we're gonna do the same where we draw our little horizon line. And bringing that across like that. I'm gonna add actually a little bit more of this purple to lighten it up. Yeah, there we go, like that. And blend that in just a little. So we're scrubbing this. We're scrubbing this on a little bit, and you know what I'm gonna do too? I ended up going a little bit farther than I wanted to on those edges, so I'm gonna bring some color back in, but I just wanna have a little bit of color to work on here. I like to have a really thin layer for my first layer when I'm painting with oils, if I'm doing like a wet on wet technique like we're doing here. If you find that painting on wet, when we're going in with the details on this water, it's too much, it gets too muddy, it's too blendy, let it dry for a day or two and then come back to your painting. I've got a lot of experience painting wet on wet, so I really like it and prefer it, but it can be really tricky to start out with, so don't be scared if when you're doing this painting everything's getting muddy, blended together, you take a break for a day or two, let everything dry, and then come back. We're gonna make some decisions. Ready? First decision is I painted over this part and I don't like it, so I'm gonna add a little bit of darker colors there, just blending in. Same on this side, just a little. It's all a work in progress. So no need to get frustrated if it doesn't look the way you want it to at first. I'm gonna go into our purple color, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring it back and forth like this. Fairly roughly. We're just getting some very, very subtle waves happening here. This is just showing where light is hitting the water from the back. That's where our light source is. And I'm not being too picky about where I'm putting this paint. I'm kind of just letting it go wherever it feels right, back and forth, giving it a little bit of space. And you can see I'm going up just a little bit and then down just a little bit instead of it being totally horizontal lines. It's got a little bit of a curve to it. And I'm taking this and adding my dark teal just across in a few areas where maybe I want it to look like there's some little waves happening. And this is a really loose, almost impressionistic kind of style of ocean water. I am not looking at a photo for this. I'm not being too picky about where these go. I'm kind of just feeling it out. I want to bring in some on the sides too. I'm just using this really garbagey brush again, flat brush. Taking it horizontally on the sides, dragging some little streaks in here. All right, I'm gonna let that be for a sec. And we're gonna add some more highlights on here, but first I'm gonna take a little super fluffy soft brush. I'm gonna soften the horizon line just a smidge, just so it blends a little bit better. And then I wanna blend out all of this, making it nice and smooth for me. Okay, I wanna take a brush, maybe a little bit thinner, maybe a little liner brush, or one of these. And I want to take some of our colors from the sky and bring them in. So like obviously we want more of this purple in there. We're just gonna take a really thin liner brush and we're just gonna quickly draw out some lines to add more highlighting happening here in the center of our painting. kind of keeping these lines in the center, but also dragging some to the edges. Again, this is really loose, very loose. There's no right or wrong here. We're not looking at an exact photo to make this happen. We are doing this from our little brains, our little imaginations. Beautiful, loving that. And I want to throw in some of the other colors too. I'm going to give this a little brush out first. And I'm going to be even more focused in the center as I do these colors. I'm going to take a little bit of our pink and not overdoing it too much. I'm not going to add too much of this, but I'm going to throw in a few little lines and chunks. Very subtle, very subtle. I just want a little bit of this color coming up that's in the sky into our little ocean. Then I want to bring in our orange, a little bit of our yellow and a little bit of white added, just a little. This is going to be, and I'm getting a little bit, my small little tiny liner brush here. And this is going to be pretty big highlight. Bring in this yellow color, yellow orange, and we're going to keep it in the center. This is the part where you could be picking up a lot of paint on your brush because the paint underneath is still really wet. If that's super frustrating you, leave it for a day or two and come back once it's dry. So that's very pretty. We've got our little highlights on there. And this is really the bulk of our painting done. I'm gonna do a little brush out real quick. I might detail out some of my waves a little bit more. I'm gonna mix up some more of my dark teal color just because I want a little more contrast there. They're looking totally fine. You can do this if you want to, you don't have to. Depends on how you're feeling your waves are looking. I like that. I like that. Brush it out like usual, because that's how I like to paint. The more you brush out, the more blended it is. So be careful. You might lose some of your details if you blend too much. Like I've kind of lost some of my little yellow streaks in there. That's okay, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a couple back in, and then we're gonna go in with our sparkles. One quick, really soft blend, and then it's sparkle time. So, quick, really loose, loose. So, for our sparkles, I'm taking a thin brush, and what I want to do is I want to dab on some yellow-orange spots where our white sparkles are going to go, and this just gives it a little bit of radiant light around the sparkle and gives me a good idea of where my sparkles are going to be. So I'm kind of just going to tap a little blob. See that? Just tapping these blobs on the painting in areas where I know light is hitting, which is on these yellow areas, it's on the light blue purple areas, it's not on the dark wavy areas. All right, one super quick brush out. I'm actually gonna go up and down first. really super lightly. Be real careful about that. And then I'm gonna go across. This is where white comes in. I'm taking the tiniest little brush I have. Looks like it's this guy. Super, super tiny. See that? I'm taking pure white and I'm gonna start dotting on sparkles, maybe creating some little diamond shapes. Starting at the very back, top. Here. Make them pretty clustered back here. And I'm dabbing on these little white sparkles all over the back center. And we're going to keep to the center as we move down, doing these tiny, tiny, tiny little dots. So small, because they're just little sparkles reflecting off the water. And they can kind of look kind of clumpy. Mine are looking a little bit clumpy. Nothing wrong with that. It's a loose painting. You can see I'm kind of making these little diamond shapes too as I move along. Little crosses. To show there's like a little bit of a sparkle happening. Moving down, my sparkles are gonna get a little more sparse, layering the white over where the little orange yellow dots were, adding a couple diamond shapes, some of them, not all of them, just a few. And honestly, this is our finished painting. I'm just gonna add some more sparkles wherever I see fit, wherever I want them to go. You can do the same. You can brush out your sparkles and do more. Our little sunset oil painting all finished. That was our beginner painting tutorial for this oil painting. Let me know if there's anything you struggled with, any questions you have for me, anything that you have on your mind, leave in the comments below. I have a bunch more tutorials on my channel, so check them out if you're interested. If you have any requests, leave them in the comments below. Let me know. Let me know your thoughts. I do have the full-length version of this tutorial available on my Patreon for people who decide to voluntarily support this channel monthly. Love you, patron. You're my fave. I send them postcards and stickers, and we have virtual hangouts, and it's good stuff. But for now, I'll see you in the next video.